I mean, the life expectancy, if you make it to 65 and you're a dude, is now 83. So the real question that I was asking is, when should the government pay you to retire? Which is a sort of a different question than when should you retire. When you should retire is sort of a personal question, and also it depends on your definition of retirement. I don't think that, if your goal is to be 65 and sitting on a beach for the rest of your life doing nothing, that the social science tends to say that's not very good for you. You actually should be involved in your community and get involved and still have a side job and all the rest of that. But if we really believe that we can't raise the retirement age and we're never going to change that, we will go bankrupt. And all the talk about cutting at the margins, whatever Doge is doing, that's not going to touch the real driver of the systemic debt in the United States. Women are living to 85 if you make it to 65. Men are living to 83 if you make it to 65. That's 20 years on the public dime.
When you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security, yes, which is people's money.
Well, it is not the money you paid in.
It's the system that they pay into.
Well, no, every paycheck stub.
Yes, but believe me, I pay a lot.
I know, I pay into Social Security. I don't know about you.
I promise you, the amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
Okay, but it's not the government just handing out a blank check.
No, it's the government borrowing money to pay. Well, you pay in X dollars, and then you get multiple times X dollars when you retire. That is how the system works. It is not a lockbox. This is what Al Gore was arguing about in 2000.
The other part of this, though, is at 65, right? I mean, yeah, you might be in great health. But many people are working hard jobs. They're on their feet.
It depends on what job.
I'm not saying if you're working back-breaking labor and your leg is falling off that you should be.
By the way, I just totally reject what you just said about how we're going bankrupt due to Social Security. Really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It is not even our national debt. What we spend on Social
Our national debt shot up significantly after 9/11, after we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart of
now
national
we're at 30,
debt. In 2008,
we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel, on Ukraine. I mean, honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do with our national debt as opposed to us paying into the Social Security
You think
system.
Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security, Medicare,
I think we
Medicaid?
spend way too much money on military aid for foreign countries.
You think Israel is more
Do
than
you
Social
think
Security?
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
As a matter of expenditures and math,
that
yes.
both entitlements and defense are a big issue. I actually think Ben has a point here. I think that the nature of aging has changed. I think retirement is evolving. I mean, my husband is 71 years old. He's still writing books. I'm 55. I hope to work for another 15 years at least. But I do think it depends on the
writing books, singing, acting, jobs like that, creative type jobs, artistic, shit. You can probably do that until you die. You can probably be in a movie or on set and then the next week die of a naturally old cause. That's not really like what you would look at as something you retire from, especially if he's been a book writer his whole life, making his money that way. You get 71, you don't just stop writing books. You're still experiencing beautiful shit. You got money, you traveling, you meeting people, and you have things to write about. But it seems so unfair for these people to think that some folks need to be working longer. I was thinking the opposite. I think people should be retiring at 55. Why wouldn't most people in the American population fight for our Congress to figure out somehow they get Social Security is so 1938. Here we are in 2025. Are they not capable of making something new that fits these times? That fit what the kind of work they took all these old manufacturing jobs and sent them overseas. And things are different in retirement now. People do work in warehouses. People do security jobs. People do hybrid type work where they're at home working on their computer. But I get it. But when you break it all down, after so many decades of evolution, maybe our retirement ages and retirement plans should change. There's too many companies not offering enough for people to retire on. Just way too many. That should be a requirement. 7 years with a company, 9 years with a company, pick a number. But after that, that employee should be fully vested no matter where they go from that point on. There should be something taken care of for them. And Social Security, it looks like all the people who got a lot of money don't really have a lot of confidence in it or a lot of support in it. So that's probably going to go away. But the thing that I got a problem with is this retirement age. Even talking about a retirement age higher than 65. 65 is, if you're in pretty decent health, is a good age to retire so that you can enjoy your life. All those years of missing birthday parties and Thanksgivings and Christmases, depending on the field that you worked in. And get into a point where you get to be around for your grandkids and your children when maybe during their upgrowing or upbringing you weren't. That sounds cool as hell. And they want to extract that out of your labor and put you out there until you're 70, 71, because her husband's writing books at 71. Everybody isn't an author.
Kind of job you do, and it starts to get into the devil's in the details here, because if I'm working with my hands and I'm 65, that's a problem. Maybe technology can help, etc. But there's got to be some understanding of what people are doing. There's got to be probably some means testing, which gets to this point about the growing wealth divide, because there really are two Americas here.
I think everybody's like these really healthy old folks. It's a lot of healthy old people who are like lifting weights and running and dating, and they're like in their 70s and late 70s, and you wouldn't believe it. And it's impressive to see that kind of stuff, but the majority of the older people in this country are diabetic. The way we eat, the food that's available. You can't live this life that's out there for us and still be in your 60s and 70s and be in some kind of shape. So a lot of people have taken control of their health and everything, but those who haven't, those who just live normal American lives on the American diet, you probably have a hard time going past 65. And it's unfortunate that anybody, no matter what your shape, it shouldn't matter what condition you're in as whether or not you get to work longer. They're trying to say, God, people seem to be looking a little better than they did. They're ready to assess that and raise the age. But if people were starting to look more broken down in their late 40s and mid 40s, you think they'd be saying, we need to probably dial this retirement age down from 65. Nah, they'd let you keep dragging your ass into work as long as you could until you got injured or died on the job at that machine that you operate or whatever the hell it is that you do. That's how bad it is that so many people, and those are the ones who are responsible for the deficit being huge, in the trillions, $37 trillion, just huge. They're willing to get the things that's important to them, like tax breaks for billionaires. Tax breaks for billionaires goes on the deficit. The money that the government ain't getting from them, they got to get it from somewhere. Goes on the deficit. And this guy is willing to sit there and say, hey, it's okay for you guys to work longer so that we can be paying tax on our incomes. Realistically, I think 60 is a perfect retirement age. Not 62, not 65, 60. That's being reasonable. And that's with me listening to other people's opinions and thoughts and coming up with that number. But if it was up to me, being inconsiderate and not thinking about nobody else, just my opinion, it'd be 55. 55. You still young. You know what I mean? 55 years old to be able to retire. You've usually been out there working, if not for the same company, but since you were 18 or since you graduated from college. And it ain't nothing wrong with enjoying yourself and going to some of the places you read about and not letting them draw every bit of life out of you and then you die. Nah, that shit ain't right. And Ben Shapiro might consider himself still working, but it's what he's always done. And being well off with that Shapiro name ought to let you know the man is rich. He's loaded. No, but he owns a lot of shit. He got a lot of money. He has a different opinion about people where he may have seen some of his best employees turn 62 or 65 and pull the cord, I'm done. And he's like, fuck, she's the best I had. And, she's one of my best workers. And thinking of himself, he's thinking she could have lasted another 5 years. I had a job once, and there was an older guy who worked there with me. He was way more energetic than the younger people. Way more energetic. Just always up, hopping around, had his coffee in his hand, ready to go get busy. And I remember when he retired, I selfishly felt like I'm like, man, this dude got like 5, 6, 7, 10 more years left. And I was only selfishly thinking of myself because he was one of the best workers who I worked with. He was knowledgeable, he was energetic, he wasn't lazy. We worked shift work, so he was always up and ready to roll when other people would find a place to hide or sleep. And I appreciated that, but then I selfishly did think that. And I see how some people feel that way. Look at people and think of the benefit they're getting from them. Or and it may not be that you work with the person. It might just be you might be on a level where you want as many people in the tax paying base as possible. So as a millionaire or billionaire, you can not feel so bad when your taxes aren't high. So because they're taking care of it. It's just I wish that this country didn't divide on class the way it does, because if it didn't, we would be able to come together and make sense. I don't think billionaires and trillionaires and all those rich people are greedy. I just believe that you're programmed for a particular way of living and a particular level of success. And once you achieve it, there's not a switch that goes off, or there's not a humanitarian thing that opens up in your heart. What happens is you continue. It's like a refrigerator being stuck on. Even after it reaches its optimum temperature, it continues to go. That's a defective part in refrigerators, but in people, it's sought after. It's what people want to be. No matter how many ceilings they hit, they want to keep going and going and becoming richer and richer. And if they have the opportunity and the capability, who would tell them not to? But working past 65 when you're a billionaire is a whole lot different than working past 65 if you work in a Walmart. And I know that a lot of us feel like right now, this second, no matter what our age is, if we're still working, like this is it, man. Nobody wants to go to work because it's usually a job that you wouldn't apply for, and they hired you and you took a deep breath and said, okay, I can tolerate this. It's not like hey, you hired, can you start Monday? And you're going home telling everybody, oh my God, I got my dream job. That does happen, but not that much, not enough. And so when you get hired on a job and you're happy you got a job because you can pay bills and do shit, but you know, uh, if you're doing something that isn't your first love, or something that you started as a business and found a way to link it to income, then you're not probably not dancing and hopping all around and that's probably not happening with you. And you would probably like to do that job for as long as you have to. And if the retirement age is brought down to 60, people will retire at 60, and they know that. And if make them qualify for all those benefits that they would get at the higher age, bring the age down. Don't let people miss out on the quality of their life. It's a humane type thing. It has nothing to do with, hey, those 65-year-olds looking pretty good. I think we can keep them. That is not the criteria for that. The criteria is if you're living longer, that means you'll be here longer with your family. You'll be here longer with your grandchildren, and you'll get to see them into their weddings and early marriage years and shit. If you live like some folks, you probably outlive them. We got some of these older folks who just, I don't know if they got some special gene, but I mean, they drank, they smoked, they was shooting dice. They was doing everything that everybody else do. And then like at a normal age, you just get to a certain age and stop that shit. But then to still, with no special care for yourself, having been exposed to the same elements, they like living into their 90s and late 90s and breaking 100 isn't that uncommon. And it's like, damn, what is their secret? And a person like that, I would love to hear the story of them retiring at 55. Fuck that shit. Can you imagine if you make it to 100 and you just retired when you was 70? That's only 30 years. I mean, it might seem like a long, but when you're 100, break that shit down to 55. Man, why don't any of the politicians feel that way? Because they're counting on our money. And then they're not counting on it so much that they're making sure it's there for us, but they're making sure that while we're working, our money is for them. And they get your Social Security over the course of your working years. So you're paying Social Security in your 20s and 30s for when you get in your 60s. That's a long time and a lot of money. And I know, absolutely know, it can be managed better than it is. And then we need to get rid of the name Social Security. It has a bad feeling on a lot of people. It seems like our politicians and rich folk in the country equate Social Security with like being a bum or asking for a handout or some shit. And it isn't that at all. Shit. It's somebody who is just saying, I had enough. I want to travel. I got a sister in Alabama. I don't get to see enough. I got a sister, you know what I'm saying, in Hawaii. I don't get to see enough. You get to go out and see your family and physically, so not just call them on the phone and you know, get through the conversation like, damn, I miss them. Why I can't pop up? I should better just pop up. And while you're still young enough to have a beer or, you know, or eat some food you shouldn't be eating. But it make it all nice and beautiful for us all, for our lucky and fortunate folks in this country who do have their work as their love, and their love is their way of making money, and it just goes hand in hand. They can't even imagine it any other way. If they could just have a little bit of you know, respect for those of us who do have jobs and have had jobs that we didn't really like that much. Not that we weren't good at it, not that we didn't give it our all and all of that, but you don't want to give it all to your job. If you can work your ass off for 55 years and work hard and have pride in your work on every job you do, then you deserve to retire at 55, because I know you ain't been playing. You probably even got hurt a couple of times along the way, but you put it back together and you didn't go home and quit. You kept coming back. And I think that should be met with more of a reward than the dread of now you got to navigate this minefield that they call retirement. It's pretty terrible. But any of you guys who are already retired out there, you know, you got love. That's a beautiful thing. Enjoy your family. Do not retire and just stay home. Get up, get out. Don't retire early just to stay home. Go see everybody. Call folks up. What you doing? They're gonna be like, oh shit. That's right. You're retired now. All the time you couldn't be there, you're gonna be there now. And visit folks. Holler at them. And tell them Black Popcorn said hi. You know what? That'd be a good thing to do. When you go visit your family and your friends you ain't seen in a long time, hook them up, put them on, and we'll grow the community. And then you guys will have more to talk about when you see each other. Like that Black Popcorn, that motherfucker. But thanks for the support. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.